Welcome back to Talk of the Town, brought to you by Uniquely Nelson. I'm Chris Butler alongside Simon Duffy, General Manager of Uniquely Nelson. Nice to have you here.
Good morning.
And we're joined by Ruth Roebuck, who is General Manager of the Nelson Arts Festival. Nice to have you here, Ruth.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And welcome back to Kerry, Sunderland. Now, on the website, it said the Pukapuka Talks program lead. Is that still...
Yes, that's my title.
Still your
Bit of a
title?
mouthful, but
As far as we know today,
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yes.
I think changing it today.
I suppose everyone has to pitch in, really, don't they? Look, we haven't met you before in relation to the Arts Festival, Ruth. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Nelson Arts Festival?
Yeah, sure. I'm probably one of the newer ones to the festival. I've only been here for about 18 months. But prior to that, I've had a geographically quite dispersed career on purpose. English born from Yorkshire, quite proud Yorkshire lass, as people say. And you can certainly hear it. I hate listening to myself because it's a very jarring accent, but nevertheless, I'm quite proud to be from Yorkshire. So I left England when I was 30. I was kind of, I grew up in Yorkshire where there were two landscapes, and South Yorkshire particularly. There was a landscape from a geography perspective in terms of Yorkshire Dales, the Peak District, North Yorkshire Moors. So there was an outside life. And then there was very much an industrial life because it was the centre of coal mining, steel, etc. And we'll not go into the devastation of those industries back in the 80s. And I'd done the traditional kind of school, O-levels, A-levels back in those days, Polytechnic, and then started off in a career. When I was 29, I was national manager of quite a large portfolio in a particular organisation, and I was due to be made a director the next year. And I kind of had my 30th birthday and thought, this is kind of going down a certain path in a certain way. And being quite nomadic, because I'd lived all over the UK by then, I thought it's not really, I don't want to get myself into a
pigeonhole.
Yeah. So 12 months later, I'm living in Australia, taking myself and my dogs across. And I was kind of single at the time, so that all worked out. And then started on what I wanted to do, which was chasing, I guess, challenges and points of interest from a work perspective. Always wanting to grow and develop and learn more and go on my own kind of career trajectory, I suppose, but not necessarily in one spot. Again, that nomadic nature came in. So I eventually joined the airports world, the airport sector, with a global organisation, and worked from Australia across the Pacific and Asia, and then moved into Switzerland. By this time, my husband and I were married. He's a Kiwi, but we met in Australia.
Right.
And we married when we, in the time frame that we lived in Australia. And his work took him overseas as well. So we were based in Australia for quite a while, and then we're based in Switzerland. And then we, I guess if I look back now, after 20 years or so of doing that, we settled in New Zealand, A, because he was a Kiwi, B, because he was born in Nelson, so hence the Nelson connection.
There you go.
But we stayed in Auckland for a few years. But in that interim, and working in the airports world predominantly, and then also in a facilities kind of management world, I had lots of different, I guess, experiences from a career perspective as well as work. And have been part of an executive team and at general manager level for probably 20 odd years now. But always chased projects and challenging and complex projects at that. So that was the kind of spark of interest for me, something that I could really get my teeth into. Having said that, I wasn't a contract project manager that rolled in and out, because I was with companies for quite a long time. But it was that interest factor of getting hold of a project and leading it across a country or a number of countries, particularly in the airports world.
Yeah,
I spent quite a lot of time. I've worked on all the continents in the world and spent quite a lot of time in South Africa because of that as well. So,
yeah.
Driven.
And then saw the light and joined the charity sector in Auckland 10, 12 years ago. With the Spirit of Adventure Trust. So I started there as
Is that right? Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then spent quite a while there, and then moved down here and was at the Suter before I joined The Nelson Festivals Trust.
And I suppose that connection with Suter and Nelson Arts Festival, that was kind of a connection or attraction for you to come and be part of the Arts Festival team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's certainly the board at the time the board of Nelson Festivals Trust were looking for quite a commercially strong individual, but someone could, and they didn't necessarily want someone from the festival world. If that happened, great. But they wanted that quite strong commercial, financial experience, but someone who understood the artistic world and had kind of, worked within that for then about 3.5 years. So the stars aligned.
Yeah.
I was lucky, and I'm pleased, very pleased, very, very pleased to be with this team here.
Nice.
It's a great team. Nuki Nelson's been working, I've been back 10 years, and always had the Arts Festival as a highlight for the year for Nelson, and the promotion of that. Kerry, we've had you on the show before, talking town. And we touched on your when you were in Byron Bay in Australia. But for those tuning in for the first time, just recap on that a wee bit about your journey to Nelson and your own connection with the festival.
Well, I can start by saying that Ruth and I have two things in common. One is that I met my now Kiwi husband.
Oh, yes.
In Byron Bay.
Yes.
These husbands are drawing.
This isn't Tinder.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that I immigrated from Australia to Aotearoa with my dog.
Oh, yes, right.
And third thing, we've both got a horse background.
Oh, yeah, we
right.
Because we used to ride horses a lot.
Aussie girls when we were younger. Yeah.
So,
Horses naughtiness. Excellent.
Yeah, so I had been living and running my own publishing company in Byron for about 12 years when I moved here, and I always had my eye on working for the Nelson Arts Festival from as soon as, the very first festival I attended, which was 2013. I think I went and spoke to Charlie Unwin at some stage in 2014 and said, if a job comes up, let me know. So, I'm really delighted. And I've been with the festival now this is my 8th year.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, the question probably might be a little bit more aimed at you, Kerry, but, to both of you, very long history with the festival. It's been around for a long time, and it's had its ebbs and flows more recently because of COVID and the economy and sponsorship and funding and all those challenges that you've got. So, where do you see the festival at the moment? How do you see it evolving?
Oh, goodness, sorry.
I mean, I know you've just got on the hot seat, and that's why I wondered.
A lot of ways to answer that.
Yeah.
Look, it's its 31st festival this year, and as everybody says that ever sits in the seats here over that 31 years, we're thankful to everybody that's gone before, because that's why it's 31 years old. Otherwise, it wouldn't have survived and achieved the kind of dizzy heights that it has. Huge support from the council. And having said that, from a financial respect, it's public knowledge if anybody looks at the council records what we do get from the council in terms of funding, but we need double that to be able to operate. So that covers about 50% of our costs. So the climate at the moment is pretty tricky, and we therefore have responded to that in the last 18 months by being a pretty lean machine. We operate year round with only 4 people, 3 of which are part-time. And then we bring contractors in for the festival. So it really is a lean machine because, of course, you're always contracting artists at least a year in advance.
Right, yeah.
And where do we see it going? That's probably the short answer to that. Where do we see it going? And if we get a chance, a bit more time on that financial picture, because it is very, very tricky out there. For all of us. But where do we see it going? Kerry's been very consistent in evolving and growing and developing our Kororo Pukapuka. So that's something that Kerry can talk about. Brought in a new artistic director at the back end of last year. Artistic directors can tend to move around, do 3, 4, 5 years somewhere and move on. And so that was the evolution we went through. And Janelle Bish joined as artistic director, secured her at the end of last year and joined us in February the 1st or something. So Janelle's worked really hard to put the programme together in itself anyway for this year. And our plan was to look at creating a festival structure that allowed for some big signature items coming through in the years to come, so that we can get some big performances and big artist groups that may not have come before. So we're looking at doing that over a planned progression, so that we can have things that might not have travelled to Nelson
But
previously.
presumably attached to that is the ability to raise the funds. Is
Totally.
that right? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kerry, have you seen both sides of the spectrum? Because, prior to COVID, things were a little bit more flourishing, I guess. We had tourists as well. That's starting to come back. But, how have you seen that evolve, and where do you see things going from your perspective?
My first festival was 2018. So that's when we were still we were run by Nelson City Council, primarily. And then 2019 was the first festival that we delivered with the trust.
Yeah.
So 2019 was a big year and a big program. That was Charlie Ullman's final program. But we had the difficulties of bad weather for the Mass Carnival that year. Yeah. So that was a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, 2020 was go, no go, go. And actually what we ended up delivering was a much smaller local-based program that was part of an initiative from Nelson City Council that involved all arts organisations doing activations and things in the city, and some really amazing new projects and arts events evolved out of that. So it was actually a very fertile time. And I guess also because compared to a big theatre show production, Pukapuka Talks events or readers and writers events are a little bit more affordable to stage. So the program grew a bit that year, and it's sort of roughly been the same number of authors, but this year it has evolved so that, and this has always been our intention, is when we invite an author from outside the region that they do one or more events. So we have more events with authors doing more things while they're here. So to make it more worthwhile.
Looking at the program, the perception is quite comprehensive, and
absolutely,
yeah. So, like you say, it might be smaller pods, but there's a large variety in there, isn't there?
Yeah. But that's about variety and making sure that there's something for everybody in the program. It's not like one person's going to sit down there and go, I want to go to everything. Well, perhaps except for me, because I want to go to everything. But that means that, there'll be things that appeal to different audiences, and we're all about audience development. I mean, that is really essential. And we are looking at, how can we put on shows that will appeal to younger audiences, to our very ethnically diverse community here in Whakatū Nelson, all those things. So that's sort of front of mind all the time when we're programming. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the question for both of you, is it true that Pukapuka has become like a cornerstone of the festival? And a question was what's unique about this year, but you've actually already spoken on that. But how do you see the Arts Festival contributing to the life and vibrancy of the CBD and the community as a whole? Which is a really silly question because it contributes a lot. But I'd like to know from you both, personally, how you see it actually contributes to business and the community.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if we look at economic, the festival historically hasn't had a full economic report done on it. Next year will be the first time, 2026, working with partner of ours to make sure that happens. Yeah. So that will be the full net event from an economic perspective as
for the city.
For the city, yeah. So in other words, you look at the amount of income or revenue it can generate in the hospitality accommodation world and retail world, but then you look at the cost of putting it on and you get that net effect. So that's that true kind of economic benefit and trend that we're going for. But even now we know that on probably the last weekend, because of over that 11-day period and the last weekend specifically with Mass Carnival, we know that there's about a $3 million hospitality benefit from the people that come in. 55,000 people last year spent money when they came into the city, and it was the 30th birthday, so we threw a little bit more at it last year to make sure that was a true celebration, as we'd agreed with the council. And so, that street level activation from Mass Carnival and the other things that we did last year will be repeated in years to come.
Yeah.
Mass Carnival will always happen. But certainly this year we've looked at how we can drive particular audiences with this program, because we want to make sure we're covering a broad base. And the other day someone said, you're perhaps not in some of the smaller community centres that you were in last year. And that's purposeful. That's not kind of a mistake. And we'll go back to that next year. So because we can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
But in terms of the city, that's why we always concentrate on making sure that if we've got, as Kerry says, if we're bringing in artists, we make sure that where we can, we've got several shows, or we have workshops pre or post the actual event. And we've got a whole raft of workshops this year that we go and talk to either the youth market for, and whether that's youth up to the age of 24, because it's suitable for that. Burgeoning artists, for instance, because we've got artists, visual as well, running workshops this year. Or we look at that school age group. And again, we've got 10, 12 workshops going across the region as well, to make sure that we're in every kind of community centre from Nelson through Stoke, Richmond out to Golden Bay. So we cover that kind of regional aspect as well as we can, while still having some focus to what we're achieving from an overall festival perspective, if that answers it.
There's, maybe for both of you, but Kerry, talk about cost and budgets, and it's just right across the board anywhere in New Zealand. We had a large event that's meant to go ahead this winter, like a sponsorship, so it's been delayed, and that happens, it's just happened worldwide, really. What would you say is your biggest worries, as far as budget is, and the costs are going up and up, so whether it's a road closure, artists, what do you say is your biggest worry within that budget that you're...
Well, one of the biggest challenges is actually bringing artists here on planes.
Yeah, right.
Because often, we don't, it's not like I sit down and go, where does this author live? Can we invite them? I hope I never have to do that. But, it is a reality that a lot of authors live outside the major cities. So it's 2 flights to get here. And, also over a very premium time in terms of flight costs over Labour weekend, long weekend. That's one of the challenges.
It seems to be an issue with, a lot of organisations, sporting and et cetera. So we need to buy our own plane. Really, don't we?
There's a sponsor.
We'll pitch in.
So we go off track.
And we have a booking form down at the council. I need the plane that day.
Yeah. Oh, the council paying for the plane?
No. Well, I don't know who's buying it, but we all could use it.
Okay, Donald. Okay. So you were saying before the air Chris interrupted.
Yeah.
So that's
I think
major issue, isn't it?
As you were saying, it's the arts sector is not particularly favoured at the moment from anybody's perspective in terms of central government and otherwise. But the funders that we all work with, so whether that's the Creative New Zealand, the Rata Foundations of this world, we work with a lot of the gambling and or lotteries type of small outlets, trusts. Thank you. That's the word I'm searching for. And everybody's under pressure to give as much as they can to as many organisations. So what you are seeing is there's a requirement or a desire, should I say, by those organisations to be able to give widely across that arts sector, and therefore there's probably less amounts being given to each. So that's certainly a concern, because if you get less, you've got to go to more. And in the arts world, there are an awful lot of people that you can seek funding from, depending on what particular form of art, etc. But it's not as much as sport, for instance. So it's a diminishing pool that's then being shared out amongst a greater volume, perhaps, of people and organisations, which is right and true and proper, and it should be to support the sector. But it is a diminishing pool.
So if you only get so much, you only get so much. And then you have to go looking elsewhere, then everyone else goes looking elsewhere. So it's
and politically there's pressure on that type of funding because it's associated with gambling, and that's something that even the sporting sector is saying, well, if you take it away, how does it get replaced? And what it's going, so that's going to affect everybody. But one of the interesting things, and it's certainly a discussion we've had around revitalisation of CBD is one of the things that we can do to try and attract people back into the central city. And I'm sure that most cities around the country are dealing with this, is events.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then we've just had an announcement from the government about, you know, doing some funding to attract more tourists.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it's turning around. So you can't have it both ways. You know, we've either got to, we have to invest in things.
You've got to back it.
You know, and yes, it's art for art, and sometimes artists don't want it to be associated with the commercial sector, but they both work together, because if you have a successful arts event, then the byproduct of that is that people come into our district and spend, and they go hand in hand. You can't help that.
You don't create 55,000 people across ticketed and free events by accident. You know, you do that through hard work, and all the other organisations do in Nelson, in terms of, you know, whether it's Tirama Roa and the other Clay Week, Jewellery Week, etc., etc. Everybody works incredibly hard to make sure people come into the city or into the regional centres, as we do, right out to Golden Bay. So, you know, that doesn't happen by accident. There's a lot of hard work. But yeah, to your point on funding, it's interesting that when you look at, and let's not get into the detail of this, but, you know, you look at the online, the new online gambling proposition that's coming forward, that the submissions were due in for last month, I beg your pardon. And that's giving out new licenses. The majority of them are bound to be overseas organisations. And the caveat to the new license is there is no requirement to fund local organisations. So the COGs, the mainlands, the NZCTs, community trusts that we all apply to every year and do get money from, may diminish because people may choose to online gamble instead of going. So, you know, it's that whole kind of vicious circle of seeing what happens, it plays out. But having said all that, we have tremendously strong, loyal support from our partners and sponsors around the region, around Nelson and the Tasman region, and we wouldn't survive without them. And at our launch night, we kind of said the same thing on stage. There was myself and Ali as the chair, and Nick Smith as the mayor, all saying thanks to the people in the room, because otherwise the festival would not take place. And of course, cash is hard these days. So it's about sitting around a table and determining how people can support us.
Yeah, lots of in-kind support as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think creativity and the arts is part of Nelson's DNA. And obviously we have all this fabulous history with Shays Elco and all, you know, those institutions of Nelson that got the arts going here. And I'm really excited about Nelson at the moment, because there's a lot of underground stuff and, you know, new initiatives starting up, like the Whakatu Arts and Activism Collective that are down near Fresh Choice. And there's some new venues that are doing lots of, you know, live music. And I think there's a real buzz, and it's really exciting what's happening.
So going back to the program, can you give us a couple of highlights, both of you? So especially the Pukapuka part of the festival. So have you got a highlight?
I just got a plug. Can I do a plug?
Are you in it?
Just do a plug.
Are you in it?
It's very controversial, because it's associated with Yuki Nelson. It's called the Battle Chorus.
Yes.
Which is, I feel, sometimes quite, you know, for us, I feel as though we're always fighting the good cause, you know, and remaining positive and being honest about what we do. So anyway, that's my plug.
Ordered my tickets for Battle Chorus last night as well.
Oh.
So I'm going to be in there singing my heart out.
It's tremendous. It's fantastic. It's one of the highlights, I think, from a fun perspective. And it happens to be Root and Spooner that's in both of these, but and again, that's the use of the artists, that's the economical use of artists, because Battle Chorus is such great fun. Our artistic director's been to several. I've been to one, and it's enormous fun. But that and the Velvet Rebels, which is that nod back to the Rat Pack era, are phenomenally good, solid theatre kind of entertainment. So, and we certainly thought of you with Battle Chorus.
Silly.
And I think, just from my perspective, I might talk programme, because our artistic director Janelle isn't here, but highlights would be By a Thread, which is literally on the first page of the programme. And you'll note we've gone back to the book programme, which the audience are loving, because they can read it more easily, and it's a bit easier to navigate through. But By a Thread is an Australian circus company called One Fell Swoop, and we have them at the Theatre Royal for 3 shows, and it's high-rise rope work, but it's telling stories around relationships. So it's the hilarity and the romance and the fear and the friendship and everything that comes from relationships with a number of contemporary dancers on stage and high rope work. So that's a huge win for us. They've played Edinburgh 3 or 5 sellouts. The only place they're going outside of Edinburgh and Australia is us.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Great.
By a Thread, Theatre Royal. Battle Chorus and the Velvet Rebels are certainly good fun. We've got 2 amazing contemporary dance performances this year, both very different, and both telling different stories of the life of a human, I guess, would probably be the best way to describe it. But contemporary dance is a real solid feature again this year as well.
And a couple of authors. I noticed, is it Alison Mao?
Alice Moore.
More, sorry. Yeah.
Who is appearing in a couple of events.
Yep.
One around her work in the Me Too space, reporting on sexual harm in Aotearoa, and also she set up a new charity which is about to be launched. It's going to do amazing things to support survivors. And she's also in a panel about inside the media. And I think that is going to be an incredible conversation, because Naomi Arnold will be in the hot seat interviewing Ali and Michelle, who worked with Ali on the Me Too things. But they're both just giving a real insight. I mean, a lot of people sort of put media in this kind of big bucket of something they don't quite understand. So this is an opportunity to really understand how journalism works, what quality journalism looks like, and also the challenges, the reality of the challenges these days with the whole media, the ecosystem changing.
Yeah.
But we've got the Pukapuka Talks Gala night on the Friday night at the Nelson Centre of Musical Arts, and that's going to be a real showcase of 7. I mean, it's just an extraordinary program this year, because it's like gardening in a way, everything was in season at the same time, and I was really lucky there's all these very big name people who have written books this year, so it was really a joy to program. So we have the gala featuring
here because of relationships with Kerry.
You're right.
So we have 7 of those authors appearing in the gala night, and then many of them are appearing over the weekend at NCMA in one-on-one conversations. So they're people with the mana or the prestige and influence to deserve a one-on-one conversation. So there's a little bit more one-on-one style Pukapuka Talks this year compared to previous years, which there were more panel discussions. And we've also got Chelsea Winter up at the Summer House, which ever since actually my husband worked up there, he was doing some work up there, and he came home and he'd taken photos of it. He said, look at this place, it's amazing. And I'm like, as soon as I saw those photos, I'm like, I would love to partner with them one day to offer an event up there, because it's such a stunning location. So
very good.
Yeah.
So tickets selling.
They're selling.
Selling out.
Yeah, there's a couple of shows that are getting up there.
Yeah.
We got a great email last night circulated around the team. There's some that are teetering on the edge of selling out. So certainly getting quick. Yeah.
Oh, can I mention the Pukapuka Talks Pass too? Yes, this year we have, if you buy 3 or more tickets in one transaction, and it can be 3 tickets to one show if you want to buy tickets for friends or family, or if you want to buy 3 tickets to 3 different shows or more, you get quite a decent discount. Multi show pass.
Oh, very good.
It's great.
Fantastic. All right. Well, look.
One more plug.
Have you got a stake in this or something?
I want to do a plug as well. Go on.
Couch Stories.
Yes.
Yes, you've been.
Is it the first time it's been involved in the brochure?
No, it's been
before.
Been in the brochure before. But we have the partnership with Couch Stories has evolved.
Yes.
It's actually happening the weekend before the official opening of the festival, and that's so that they can be in the venue they wanted to be in, which is the Theatre Royal.
I could do Couch Stories.
Give Joanne
a
call.
Oh no, actually don't.
That's my first one. It's called Oh Bugger.
Yes.
I was just going to get an easel with the chalkboard and put "Oh bugger" and just stand there for 7 minutes and not say anything. It's going to sum up my life, really. No, I don't know. This is
Oh wow!
Yes,
there.
those people.
For the snake.
So come along and listen to Simon and his O'Bugger
Yeah,
story.
that's right. That's right. There's quite a few of those.
No, no.
actually.
Bring your chalk. Bring your chalk.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I would, we've rightly so thanked our partners and sponsors and the council, who are hugely loyal and a great supporter. But there's a couple of things that wouldn't happen in terms of the festival without the audience. So the fact that we have a loyal audience, we're continually creating new, and we certainly need the support again, like we do every year. So thank you to the audiences, that the new and the loyal that keep coming back year after year. Thank you so much, because again, wouldn't exist without that. So thank you to them and to our volunteers. Our team, like I said, is very small, very lean, and we grow by contractors who are specialists and experts in festival delivery. And so that's helped. That ensures that we have the proper crew that we need. But our volunteers that have volunteered, some of them for the 31 years, or been involved previously, previously as part of the team, and still keep coming back year after year, again, wouldn't survive without them, because they're the ones that act as ushers, helpers, supporters to the team when we might be waning slightly.
How many volunteers do you have each year, approximately?
Somewhere between 20 and 25.
It's a lot.
Yeah, plus all the
Great.
venue helpers and
Totally.
yeah.
And our venues, it's a long list of thank yous. Our venues as well, our partners, as we call them, who we work very closely with, to make sure we can program as much as we can in their venues. So yeah, long list.
Big shout out to all
Good
the
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, good. Thank you very much for spending some time with us and, looking at the program. Fantastic job of what you've put together. It's a large variety, isn't there? And it looks pretty exciting. So well done on delivering again.
Well done to Kerry. Well done to Janelle.
Yeah.
Can't be here today.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but certainly thank you very much for coming in and telling us about it. And, all the best of luck with it. And I'm sure it will go well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope we see lots of your listeners at the festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You-
Thanks, Chris.
You can
Thanks,
learn
Chris.
more about the Nelson Arts Festival and the Pukapuka Talks at nelsonartsfestival.nz. And we thank everybody for joining another edition of Talk of the Town. We'll be back soon for more stories from the Nelson CBD.
Kia ora.
Well done.